Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to one of the afternoon sessions. My name's Lee Mummery. I'm the head of area for the Eastern region from Skills for Care. Hopefully you all know who Skills for Care. We're a workforce development organisation that supports the adult social care sector. I've not picked up my clicker. Bear with me a second, sorry. That's because I reached for the water glass. So I'm here today to talk to you about workforce sustainability. And if you're in the room, obviously workforce sustainability is going to be a big thing for you. We know recruitment and retention has been a major challenge for people over the last, you could talk about the last year, the last 3 years, but actually if you've been in the sector for a long time, it's been an ongoing challenge for people. I've got 30 minutes today, so I'm not going to be able to give you a golden ticket that's going to be able to solve all of your issues or challenges or answer all your questions. But what I think I can do is give you some golden nuggets to take away. So a little bit about the size and the structure of the adult social care workforce in England. We know that we've got a 1.5 million strong workforce. That's a lot of people working in the sector. That's around 4.5% of the workforce in this entire country. So it's a huge workforce, it's a strong workforce, and we've got a lot of people who have been there for a long time. So I think when we look at the numbers around the size and structure, there's some real positives that we can draw on. We do know that there's a high number of vacancies in the sector, but I think that this is kind of the post-COVID conference, isn't it? I think when we think about the last 3 years, we can really understand that the sector's been through a very, very challenging time, and there's going to be an impact from that. It's cause and effect, isn't it? So we do understand there is a significant number of vacancies, but I'd like to reframe it and talk to you about opportunities as well, because we've got 1.5 million people in the sector. Many have been there for years. It's clearly a very good place to be working. What we'd like to do now is really focus on how you can recruit the right people, keep the right people, and have strong workforce sustainability. So what can make a difference? There's a lot of things that can make a difference. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about the different challenges, the issues around recruitment, retention, different things like this. But there's small things that every organisation can do to really improve their recruitment and retention. We've worked with a number of organisations over a number of years, and there's a lot of research out there, including one of our key bits of research, the Secrets of Success, easy for me to say, which talks about the different things that you can do to retain your workforce, what's really, really working for people. And some of the things that we've found is that if you have a good organisation, if you have a really good registered manager, and I'm going to get to what that means very shortly, if you recruit to values and you have a values base within your entire organisation and your organisational approach, and if you're able to have a positive workplace culture, these 4 things are going to be 4 key things that will really support ongoing recruitment and retention. 4 key things. They don't revolve around money, they revolve about your organisation and the people within it and the way that you work, think and behave as an organisation. These are some of the things that will help you keep people. What I would like to do, first of all, is just give you a quick run-through, a quick overview of our website, because we've got a vast range of resources and guidance and blogs and different case studies that will really help you think about how these different things can be applied to your own organisation. Just wanted to show you the front page of the website because you can really look at different ways to support workforce development and delivery of the care and support from your organisation. If you go onto the home page, this is what it's going to look like, and there's a menu down the side that gives you those key things you might want to know about. News and events, the latest news from the sector, the latest offers to the sector. Then you go down into the different bits that I think really link into longer-term workforce planning and sustainability. One of those is around funding, because through Skills for Care you can access funding for learning and development. And we do know that learning and development is a key factor in supporting your workforce, helps them with progression, helps them see a better future, as it were, as they move forward in their role, and it also enables organisations to free up funding for other things. There is support for leaders and managers. We've got a whole range of different bits around recruitment, which I'm going to cover for you very shortly, and then there's further resources around developing the actual workforce that you already have. There's bits around the adult social care, workforce data, really important information around recruitment, staff statistics, the background of staff, ethnic background, qualifications, pay, all that different data that will help you look at your own organisation and see where you are in comparison to others. I won't go into the regulated professionals because I'm talking to care home providers today. But that's what you're going to find if you look at the website. And if you go into that first part of it around support for leaders, there's lots of different things there to help guide you towards a better future, because a lot of these things, quality of your service, the way that your manager acts, behaves and interacts with staff, all of these do have an impact on your retention. So if you're looking around the support for managers, we've got a range of guides to help you move up to good or even being an outstanding provider. And there's certainly research that suggests that those outstanding providers, they have higher retention rates than those that continually are seen as being poor providers in terms of the quality. We've got things around developing leaders and managers and managing people and managing services, all guides to help managers and people in post understand how they might do that a little better, how they might do it in a slightly different way that's going to impact on people, on the way that they think and the way that they behave. There's also bits around supporting a diverse workforce. There's direct support for registered managers because Skills for Care do offer local support through locality managers and regional teams. And there's also bits around nominated individuals, because nominated individuals are really key in terms of responsibility around management of the service as well. I really wanted to focus today around a couple of areas, particularly around recruitment, because we talk about recruitment all the time. I'm interested, how many of you are a registered manager? Okay, any owners in the room? Oh, that's very few. Who else do we have? Can I just ask where everyone else is from? What sort of roles you have? Excellent. Nominated individuals. So a few nominated individuals. Sorry? Okay, thank you. All right. Clinical lead nurse as well. So obviously a few of you are directly linked into care services. Bits around recruitment will be of particular interest to you, I think. We have a huge range of resources on our website. I'll just go back a second actually, because I just want to show you quickly. It's multi-layered. So when you go into the menu on the side, if you click on any part of it, a secondary menu appears. And if you click on recruitment planning, you're going to find all of our different resources that link into recruitment. And they are far and wide as well. I'm going to cover some of those in a minute. And the same goes around attracting people and retaining your workforce. There's a lot that we can think about here. One of the key things we talk about at Skills for Care is recruiting for values. You'll have heard about this possibly before if you know about Skills for Care, if you've been to any of our seminars. We have a really strong focus around recruiting for values, but there's a bit more to it than that, because what we talk to people about is being a values-based organisation, using your values to promote your organisation, to talk about your organisation, to show the type of organisation that you are to others, because that is something that can really help attract people to you. We've got a range of resources that will help you think about how you can apply values into your adverts. So if you go onto the website, you'll find downloadable adverts that are values-based. When we talk to a lot of care providers, when they advertise, they put, we're looking for a care worker for 20 hours a week. The pay is this. They will be helping people with personal care and shopping. To a lot of people, that doesn't look like a very attractive role. But when you're talking to people about, we're looking for somebody who is kind, compassionate, caring, and likes to give time and spend time with others, that's a very different proposition. The way that we write our adverts, the way that we think about how we recruit people can have a significant impact. We know that word of mouth is a huge factor in recruitment. We know that through social media, friends talk, people talk, carers groups talk. That helps with recruitment. Thinking about the values and how you use your values and display those values enhances the reputation and the image of your organisation. I was thinking about it earlier, who to talk to you about, because I work with quite a few managers who tell me they don't have recruitment and retention issues. And a lot of people, when we talk to large groups of registered managers, they say, that just sounds a bit unbelievable. But it's a reality. And if you talk to those managers, you'd understand why. Because they are values driven. When they talk about their staff, they talk about the value of the staff, the importance of the staff, the key elements around supporting, being personalised, whilst being professional as well. It's the culture of the workplace that we're looking at there. If you start to look into our recruitment section, our retention section, you'll see all of those different things. There's guidance to help organisations think about how they change their operating principles, their organisational values to reflect the type of people that they want to be bringing in. Because positive values draw in people with those same positive values, and you're really looking to recruit those people who think, feel and behave like you as well. And you can get all of that into your job descriptions, into your application process and into your interview process. You can implement and you can bring recruiting for values and being a values-based organisation right through everything that you do. And those organisations that have really successful retention, that's what we see from them. Some of the other resources we can help you with is around international recruitment. There's a real strong focus on international recruitment at the moment that I'm sure you're all aware of, and I'm sure it's come up today as well. We have some guidance around helping providers understand how to prepare for international recruitment. We have things around the application and selection process, widening your talent pool as well. Are people always going to the same places to advertise? Are you always going through the same companies? Do you need to be thinking differently about the sort of people that you're looking for? There's a whole range of different diverse people out there, diverse groups, and you can tap into them through different approaches to recruitment. And I think these resources will really help you think about, are we looking in the right places when we're recruiting? There's funded initiatives as well that can certainly help you with recruitment. Certainly finance is an issue for a lot of providers around recruitment. The ongoing cost of recruitment is significant and high for providers that are struggling with it, that aren't managing to sort of really nail that retention element of it. So there are funded initiatives you can tap into as well, and our website will help guide you through those as well and give you all the details you need to be able to access that funding. There's bits around supportive inductions. When a new staff member comes in, we know that a lot of people who come into the sector, they join an organisation, they stay a short period and then they move on. And we see that a lot, and quite often they move on to another care provider. Why would that be? Why would that be? Because they don't feel quite happy where they actually are. And if you've got a high level of churn, not turnover where people are going off and leaving the sector, but churn where they're going to other providers, if you're aware of this, it's time to ask some questions about why that might be. Look at the culture that people walk into. Look at the induction that you give them when they walk in the door. I've spoke with one organisation who every new staff member that turned up, they were invited into the office on their first day, and they were greeted by the CEO with a plate of biscuits and cake and coffee and tea. And it had a significant impact on them, a tiny little thing to make a difference. But it really fixes the mindset around the values and the culture of that organisation. And if you see it running through each layer of the organisation, that will really embed within your staff's thoughts and feelings. So going back to workplace culture, that's one thing I always really strongly focus on. We've got a lot of resources around helping you think about retention. What are the key things that really feed into retention? We will get to that quite shortly. And then lastly, I think a really important part in this section of our website, and we've got a really amazing resource around this, we've got a section around creating a positive place to work. And we've also got a workplace culture toolkit, which helps you look at 6 different elements of workplace culture and help you develop as an organisation around that. Because the one thing we do see is workplace culture has a very, very strong impact. Has anyone been a care worker in the room? I started off as a care worker. I've worked for a couple of care companies. I've worked for a local authority. I've worked for Skills for Care. I've worked for a range of different people. The thing that always makes me want to stay is the workplace culture and my manager and the behaviour and the values within the organisation. The Workplace Culture Toolkit will really help you understand how to look at that, how to measure it, and potentially, if you need to, how to develop it. And that is one of the big things that will really help you with workplace retention and sustainability. We're moving through this quite fast, by the way. I might split you into groups. Would you all be okay with that for a quick discussion? Brilliant, brilliant. A little bit about workplace culture then. What is workplace culture? Well, workplace culture is the character and the personality of your organisation, and it's made up of a range of different things. Oh, sorry, I thought I saw a hand up there. And by the way, just a bit of background, I used to be a council monitoring officer, so I'd go in and I'd do quality assurance like a CQC inspector. You could walk into a service, you could walk into a provider's office, and whilst there might be nothing you can immediately put your eyes on as evidence, you'd get a feeling about the culture of the workplace. When you talk to the people who are receiving care and support and you talk to the staff members, you get a strong feeling about the values and the culture of the organisation. And those services are the ones that generally got much higher scoring when we were doing quality monitoring. Those are the ones that would be your outstanding providers, and those are the ones that the staff weren't walking out of because they liked being there. It meant something to them. When we talk about workplace culture, we're talking about the values of the organisation. You're all in social care, I'm guessing, somewhere. Do you all have clear workplace values? Do you know what they are? We've got really clear workplace values at Skills for Care, and we all do know what they are. If you want me to run through them, I will, but I don't think we've got the time right now. But it is important. And if you're a social care provider or an employer, do your staff know what they are? Because that's important. Because if your values represent what you are and the way you behave and the way you interact and what you're going to do and deliver, then surely your staff need to know that. And you're looking to recruit people with those same values. It's the traditions and the beliefs that make up that organisation as well, the things behind the thinking that drive the organisation. I've worked for an organisation where I could clearly see that it was money-driven and task-focused, and it wasn't a particularly positive place to work. And I've worked for people who are very much person-centred and person-orientated, and those were the places where I wanted to stay. And I don't know about you, but where you've got an organisation or a manager like that, you want to do more for them. You're not only going to stay, you're going to do more for them. It's also the interactions, because the way that we interact, the way that your organisation interacts, the way that your manager interacts and your seniors interact is absolutely key. If it's your own workforce through word of mouth that can help you recruit, how's that going to work if they haven't got a good manager, if there isn't a positive workplace culture? What you're looking for is positive, supportive interactions from managers to staff. You're looking for an open door policy. You're looking for somebody who's easy to talk to. The manager, in my mind, is absolutely key when you're looking around recruitment and you're looking at retention. I think that's essential. And it's the behaviours that are reflected as well. And the way that we behave towards others, the way that an organisation behaves as an organisation towards its staff, is an absolutely essential element of workplace culture. Are you asking too much of your staff? Well, sometimes during times when there is lots of people unwell or off sick, we do have to ask quite a lot of our staff, but is that usual behaviour? Have a look at how we behave as an organisation, and that will help us understand how we can improve that element of our workplace culture. And it is the attitudes that drive all of that as well. We have our underlying beliefs and our values and our attitudes, and these are all absolutely key. And when I talk about recruiting for values, I'm talking about recruiting for values and behaviours and attitudes as well. And you're looking for those things that are reflective of your own organisation. And that is really how you can capture workplace culture. And it does have an impact. What it does for your staff is it creates a shared identity, a shared purpose. You know that you're working among like-minded people in that sort of organisation. So you want to work with them, you want to work for them, and it gives you an identity and a purpose. You care about what you do, and you work for a good organisation. And I feel that right now with Skills for Care, and I've felt it with other organisations as well. And it's the organisation that makes me feel that way. The people around me are part of that, but it's the organisation that really does drive it. Also helps attract like-minded people. And as I said, if you've got a workforce, if you work alongside people who are like you, who think like you, who behave like you, with the same attitudes and the same values, you're likely to stay together. And it creates unity and strength within that. It also helps staff feel engaged, valued and motivated. And when I talked about that manager earlier, who I work with one manager who has almost no recruitment, 0 retention issues. I've known him for 3 years. He's got a staff team of around, I think he's got 18, and I can promise you that at least 5 of them have been with him for over 10 years, and that he talks to me regularly about not having any recruitment or retention issues, and the reason is because of workplace culture. He talks to me about how he supports his staff, about how he engages with his staff, about how he works with his staff. During the pandemic, everything was incredibly challenging in the sector, and for registered managers and for those delivering services, it was intensely difficult. But people like that, with the right workplace culture, with the right values-driven workplace, those are actually able to keep their staff. And I think that's a real positive to take away. Those little nuggets about the things we can do to help people feel engaged and a part of something are really important, because they're the things that help people to want to stay with an organisation. We can absolutely see through evidence that a strong workplace culture, a well-led organisation, does lead to better retention. That's what we see. Like I said earlier, those outstanding providers, they have they have higher retention figures and less retention issues than those that are struggling. Those that are struggling really, in my mind, would want to take a stop, a think, a reflect, and a real strong look at the way that they're working on operating at the moment and try and measure what could be happening in terms of their workplace culture and the values that flow around within their organisation and how they're understood and discussed as well. And we certainly do know that longer term, if you have less recruitment, it will reduce your costs, which is a factor for everybody. And also, that does help you meet CQC regulations, because you'll notice through the CLOEs and the changes around CQC, they are looking at the elements of a service being well led, and workplace culture is absolutely a part of that. So there's some key things that are really important. I was going to split you up into groups, and I'm trying to work out how to do that with you all sat here. We can kind of do it as an open session. How are we doing on time, by the way? 10 minutes? Okay. I'd like to then just flesh out what you think makes a good organisation, what you think makes a good registered manager. And please don't be shy, because otherwise you'll just leave me standing here with a microphone saying not too much or just answering for you, which I wasn't planning to do. But just some ideas from the room. What do we think makes a good organisation? What makes it good to work for? What's going to attract people? Sorry?
Good, clear lines of communication.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that we communicate in an organisation, feeling heard, feeling listened to, having a place to speak, having a safe place to speak is really important. And I think that when you're thinking about communication, there's so much to be learned from the workforce that we currently have. But how often do we ask them about how do we change things? If you think about workplace culture, your workforce are a group that are going to be able to help you understand how to improve that, because they can share the experience or their experience of the workplace culture at this time. What else do we think makes a really good organisation? Good support. How do you, what makes good support? You get a mic as well.
So just inside and outside of work, obviously to a certain extent outside of work maybe, but with sort of problems go into and forth, and obviously the sort of like the culture of people coming to you with that and saying that I'm not getting on with this, not getting on with that. How can you support individuals as well as groups?
Yeah. That's a big thing. The manager that I mentioned to you, he works with his staff as a group, and he supports them as individuals, as people, as person. Everyone is different, and he absolutely recognises that. And you're really right. There's the organisational support that you can offer, which is the learning and development offer that's available through your organisation. There's support through supervision and management and things like that. But there's those personal touches as well that can make a difference. And sometimes it's the really small things that do have an impact on staff members in their mind and how they think and how they feel about the organisation. So I think that's a really good one. Does anyone else have any thoughts about what makes a good organisation? Being appreciated. Thank you. Feeling valued. Honestly, valuing your workforce and letting them know that they feel valued is so key in all of this. I know managers that send birthday cards on support workers' birthdays, that phone them up. I know one that even met them at a call, a domiciliary provider, so they knew where they were going to be at a certain time of the day, and they were there waiting for them with a present. I'm not saying you all need to give presents, but what I'm saying is that the little things have an impact. That's why when I have a team meeting, I take cake and biscuits. And then I will talk about the learning and development offer that's available to my staff as well. There's organisational, there's personal, and there is different things you can do to make a difference, I would say. And showing staff that they really are valued, that they really are important, and they're a part of the organisation is essential in that. When we're thinking about what makes a good organisation, I think good staff and good people are a big part of that. And I think it's a really important thing, and you keep them, or you can help keep them, by letting them know that they really are valued and an important element of the work of the organisation. Because your workforce is one of your most important commodities out there. If you haven't got your workforce, you're not able to retain a workforce, and you're always recruiting, you're always struggling, you're always trying to fill that gap, it's going to be really hard to have any sustainability and to show that value. So I think that's a really important one. And what about a manager? What could a manager do that would make a difference? What makes a really good manager?
by example.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Because if we go backwards just slightly, this is what I want to see from a manager. I want to see that they are leading by example, that they are showing the values of the organisation, that they are absolutely interacting in a really positive, engaging way with their staff members, with the people receiving care and support as well, if they're in the same building as well. The way the manager behaves is a driver. You ever had the expression, the shadow of the leader? All leaders do cast a shadow, and staff members can potentially, the workforce can fall into that shadow and they will behave in the same way. So leading by example, absolutely key in that, and if your behaviour and the way that you interact is led by those values, and we're in the care industry, so most people are caring in the care industry, so they have those inherent values. Showing them and using them in our role, I think, is really important.